Hey guys, it has been a long time, but it feels so good to be back. So in the past, companies have reached out to me and asked if I wanted to review their products. And so far I've said no to all of them, either because I didn't think they made a good product or it just wasn't something that I would use myself. But that all recently changed when Sandmarc reached out to me and asked if I wanted to review some of their lenses for iPhones. As most of you know, I'm mostly a mirrorless camera shooter, but I've been super curious about how good iPhone photography could really be. And I've heard really good things about Sandmarc, so I jumped at the opportunity to review some of their lenses. So what I'm going to be reviewing for you guys today is the Sandmarc Macro Lens Kit for the iPhone. I do want to say that Sandmarc did send me this lens for free, but no money has changed hands and I am in no way obligated to present this lens in a positive light. So you can be assured that this review will be my honest opinion. Now for those of you who don't know what a macro lens is, basically what it is a lens that will allow you to take very close up, detailed shots of objects that you can't get with a normal lens. It's kind of like looking at an object through a microscope versus the naked eye. Now I personally love doing product photography, but I could never justify spending the $900 on the Sony macro lens. So that's why this Sandmarc iPhone lens is so attractive and I'm really excited to try it out. At the time of making this video, the Sandmarc Macro Lens Kit for iPhone retails for $90 US. Sandmarc includes everything you need to get started, well, except for the phone, of course. Let's go take a closer look at what comes in the box. All right, so when you order your Sandmarc lens, it'll get shipped to you in a box like this. Pretty nice packaging. And inside the box, what you'll get is they include a case. And the way your case looks will depend on which model iPhone you're shopping for. This case, I've seen some complaints about it in other reviews, and overall I think that I actually like this case better in some ways because it's a little slimmer. I like how the mark for anamorphic lenses is a little more prominent. It doesn't pertain to the macro lens, which is the subject of the review today. And this is still aluminum, so no worries about stripping out the threads. However, I do have to say one thing is that I've had some issue threading the lenses on to this top lens. I'm not sure if it was just my one unit here, but every time I try to thread it in, it seems like it's cross threading, so I always stop. And because of that, I've been using the aftermarket case that Sandmarc sent me. This is a really nice case as well. The material seems very similar to the other one, maybe kind of like the OEM iPhone cases. Still has an aluminum mount here, but it seems like it's a little nicer, and it's gunmetal, of course. And I haven't had any issues threading the lenses into this case. You can see the mark there for the anamorphic lens it's just a little cutout, and I find it kind of hard to see at night. The inside of the case is felt lined, so it can add a little more protection to your phone. So that's nice. So I'll just leave that there. And inside the box, you'll also receive this nice felt pouch to hold your lens and accessories in. I really like how they added the word macro on there, so that way if you have multiple Sandmarc lenses, you can see which one you're grabbing for at a glance. So that's nice. And inside the pouch, you'll find a little cleaning cloth, also branded Sandmarc. So that's nice because I like to keep my lenses clean. They also include a lens clip. So this is for the person who doesn't want to run a case on their phone, or for the person who forgot to mount the case to their phone and needs something in a pinch. And that's probably where I'll fall in. I mean, I typically like to use the case to mount the lenses because I'm really anal about lens registration with the other lens elements. And I don't want there to be any question about things being misaligned or anything like that, or, get some weird vignetting. So I always opt to use the case if I'm going to use the Sandmarc lenses. But Since I'm a person who typically likes to run my iPhone without a case, there may be an occasion where I just forget to grab that. And I'll leave this in the pouch at all times, just for those scenarios when I might forget my case. I can slap this on, and it's better than nothing. So I appreciate them having this. There is a little eyelet there, I don't know if you can see it, but that does help with registration, and there's a rubberized material on each side of the clip to help keep the clip in place with friction, and there's a good amount of force in the spring, so I don't think this thing is going to go anywhere. The next thing that they include is a lens hood, and this lens hood is pretty cool because, as you can see, it's translucent, so it acts as a light diffuser as well. So if you're right up on a subject, maybe you're even on a tabletop, you can actually light things from the sides and the light will still get through. So that's really cool. Also, they've engineered this to be a very particular height to help you get the optimum focus distance away from the subject that you're trying to shoot. So that's really cool. And also, I found that this lens hood is really, because the lens has a pretty close minimum focusing distance, I found that when I'm trying to shoot a subject, especially, something like this, I was trying to get some shots of this geode, these things that my son likes to collect. It really helped sometimes when I would come in, I would try to get closer, and then bam, I would hit the lens hood on here and it would tell me when to stop. So I didn't scratch up the front element by running into this rock. So that's a pretty cool benefit of that. The lens hood also is held on with this rubberized, I think it's silicone ring here, and I haven't had any issues with that. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't seat on there exactly right, but I've never had it fall off, so it doesn't seem to be an issue. All right, so this is what you guys really care about. This is the lens, the macro lens from Sandmarc, and it's really high quality. There's a good heft to it. I really appreciate that they included lens caps for both the front and the rear elements. And to expose the rear threads, there's a lens cap here with just a little pull tab. You just pull up on that guy, pops right off. You have the rear element there with the threads right there. And I haven't had any issues threading this lens onto this aftermarket case. Like I said earlier, I did have some issues threading it onto the case that comes with the kit, but I'm assuming that that is just my case that I'm having issues with. So I'm gonna have an issue getting the front lens cap off without mounting this to something because it's pretty tight, which is a good thing so it doesn't fall off. So there we go, mounted it on. It was that easy, and all you have to do is get in here, maybe get your nails under there, and bam, there you go. Pops right off, and that's how it'll look on your phone. Pretty tiny. I like that. And this is how it looks with the lens hood on there. So nice, sleek, portable setup there for doing macro photography, which is really cool. All right, that's everything you get in the box. I do want to follow up on a few subjects that I touched on in that overhead snippet that you just watched. First, the case. So Sandmarc did send me another lens kit to review, and in that kit came another case. And I did not have any problems mounting the macro lens to that other case. I also haven't seen anybody else complaining about the problem that I had, so I'm gonna chalk it up as an anomaly and just my bad luck. That being said, if you have the budget, I do recommend purchasing the upgraded phone case. It seems to be made of better quality materials. It provides better protection all around the phone. It has a felt lining inside to help prevent scratches, and the threads seem to be cut better. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that the lens hood also acts very well as a stabilizer. This lens has a pretty shallow depth of field, so if you have any kind of camera shake, there's a good chance that you might not nail your shot. So if you can use the lens hood to rest against an object to steady your camera, then you have a much better chance of getting all your shots in focus. And I also wanted to give you guys more details on the lens itself. Okay, so the body of the lens is black anodized aluminum. It has a really good weight to it at around 25 grams, and it feels like a really high quality product. The glass is premium multi-coated glass, which helps protect against scratches and abrasions. These anti-reflective coatings are on the inside and outside surfaces of the glass, which reduces reflections and helps enhance image clarity. Inside the lens, you have multi-element optics that work to reduce distortion and chromatic aberrations. The lens has a 25mm focal length and 10 times magnification. If I did have to nitpick something about this lens, it would be the way the lens mounts to the phone case. While I do think the threads on the lens are nice, and once you have the lens mounted, it feels really solid and you're not worried that you're going to drop it, I do kind of wish that it was kind of more of a bayonet style mount, like a typical mirrorless camera or DSLR. That way you know for sure that the lens is aligned correctly, and there's no question about that. With a lens like the macro lens, it's not as important because it's a spherical lens, but when you start talking about like anamorphic lenses where the alignment is critical, the bayonet style mount would be a nice touch. Okay, enough talk about specs. Let's see what this lens can actually do. Now I know it's kind of a cliche thing to take a macro photo of, but I love my watch and it has sentimental value to me. So I'm sorry guys, but you're gonna get a cliche macro photo of a watch. Now once you start using this lens, the first things you're gonna probably notice are 1, that the lens is very sharp, and 2, it has a very shallow depth of field. Now earlier in the video, I know that I said the lens hood is great and I listed off some benefits for it. However, if you're using the lens hood, I did want to make you aware of one thing that you might miss. And that is that this lens has a much closer minimum focusing distance than the lens hood will actually allow you to get. So if you're really trying to take full advantage of the resolution of your iPhone's camera, then try popping off the lens hood and getting as close to your subject as possible. But be careful not to bang the front element into whatever you're photographing. For this test, I really wanted to push the limits of the lens to see what it could really do. So I locked my iPhone off on a tripod, I removed the lens hood, and I got as close to my subject as possible to take full advantage of that 10x magnification. And as you would expect from a lens that has a very shallow depth of field, if I were to only take one image, it would look something like this, with a very small sliver of the watch in focus and everything else out of focus. Now, to some people, this is a cool image in itself, and if that's your style, then great. Head out to Lightroom and you're done. But what I want to achieve is an image that's almost entirely in focus. So what I did, I used a technique called focus stacking. I don't want to go too much into the technical details of what focus stacking is in this video, but basically what it is you take a series of images, and in each of those images you shift your focus point a little bit every single time. And then in post-processing, you take all those images and you merge them together, but you're only taking the parts of each image that are in focus. So that way at the end, you're left with one final image that's completely in focus from foreground to background. If you guys do want me to make a more in-depth video explaining focus stacking, drop a comment down below and let me know. So for this focus stack, I'm gonna go for 8 to 10 images. I think that'll be good enough to cover most of the surface of the watch. Notice that I'm using the Lightroom app to take photos. I prefer to use the Lightroom app because it gives me a lot of the controls that I would get on my mirrorless camera. For a good focus stack, you don't want your exposure or white balance to be changing on you between shots. So I set those to manual. And the most useful feature in the Lightroom app for taking focus stacks is the manual focus slider that they include. And that focus slider is really nice because you can adjust the focus in 1% increments from 0% all the way up to 100%. And it also shows focus peaking, which is super nice. Now, I'm not saying that you have to use Lightroom or that you can't get these same results with the stock iPhone camera app. I just haven't tried the iPhone camera app. So if any of you guys out there have gotten really good focus stacks using the iPhone camera app, drop a comment down below and let me know because I'd love to hear that. Alright, it only took me a few minutes to go through and take all the images in my stack. Once I was done, I brought those images into full-blown Lightroom and Photoshop on my Mac, and this is the final image. Wow, I am so impressed with this lens. Could I achieve a better image with the $900 Sony lens and my full-frame camera? Probably, maybe, but damn, for 90 bucks, this is super impressive. Pay close attention to how sharp the image is and how little chromatic aberration there is. Note that I did not do any lens correction or chromatic aberration removal in post-processing. That is how it came out of camera. Actually, looking at the image now, I can tell you that any imperfections you see are all due to my quick and dirty focus stack that I did for this video, and not from the lens. I also want to make a quick comment about workflow. It was so nice and refreshing to work on such a small and portable setup. Needless to say, it was much more manageable than my full frame rig. So after these tests, I can truly say with confidence that I recommend this lens. Whether you're mainly an iPhone shooter or if you mainly shoot on mirrorless or DSLR cameras, I think that this lens will provide hours of fun, it'll boost creativity, and it'll help you get some really amazing shots, and all for a very attractive price. Now I know that everybody has different budgets and $90 might not be affordable for some of you, but if you are interested in macro photography or getting started in macro photography, I can pretty much guarantee you that there's not much better bang for your buck than this. Well guys, that's all I have for you today. I'm so sorry that I've been away for so long. I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, so I plan to release some travel photography related videos soon. Since my last video, I somehow managed to surpass 1K subs, which I know is small potatoes to most of you guys, but to be honest, when I started this YouTube channel, I fully expected to only have like 2 subs forever, maybe my wife and my dad. So 1K is a huge deal for me, and it's all thanks to you guys. I'm gonna sign off now by saying a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed thus far. It truly means a lot to me. I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.